Welcome to the Blarney Stone, folks. I am Wildman Wess, and this is What's Your Poison's St. Patrick's Day Special. We do this every year where we find a couple different beers that are inspired by the Irish styles, whether it be reds or stouts. We've got three right here, and we're going to go down one by one and see what they taste like. Ready? Let's get started. Starting off this year's special, I brought back a brewery that I haven't done in a long time, especially living on the Iowa side. From Moore Brewing Company in Huntley, Illinois, we have the Hound. This is a 5.5% ABV Irish-style red ale. When I've had red ales, I'm expecting quite a bit of a malt and very dry, biscuity flavor to the ale. And they're not lying. Uh-oh. We got lots of head, folks. I got tired of waiting, and this is about as close as we're going to get to fairly decent sized glass. The head consistency is very, very frothy, somewhat marshmallowy, slightly light, but that red ale is very nice and copper, very transparent. We're going to take a little sniff. Yup, getting that maltiness. Little sweetness on there, which I do love in a red ale. Here we go. Sanja. Dry. Which for a red ale, I do appreciate that because it does make your mouth water a little bit. Now, there are some ales out there that can dry your palate to the point where it doesn't make your mouth water. It's a palate wrecker. This one is definitely mouth watering and refreshing. The sweetness on here, not too overpowering. It almost has a breakfast cereal type flavor profile, which when it comes to some of these ales, especially reds, I'm a happy guy. Though the body on this one does feel a little bit hearty, the flavor eventually, after a couple sips, does tend to seem watered down. Not horribly, but you start to notice it. However, the flavor in general is very nice. I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to say 4.25 out of 5 on this one, because I really enjoy what Moore Brewing Company brought to the table on this. Also, due to the fact that I haven't reviewed any of their beers in a long time, and I'm feeling kind of bad. But I'm going to enjoy this for the most part, and we're going to go on to our next beer for today. Up next from Dimensional Brewing in Dubuque, Iowa, we have No Nay Never Irish Red Ale. I have to preface a little bit before we get to drinking this beer. I mentioned that on the Wild Rover song because it originated supposedly in 1670 as a English style poem about a hard, drinking bad husband. And eventually, as the centuries went on, there were a lot of chorus lines that were brought into it and other verses, where eventually in around 1964, the Irish folk band The Dubliners made their own rendition of the Wild Rover about a son who is cavorting around town, drinking a lot, and eventually he sees the error of his ways and goes back home to his parents as the prodigal son. There's the history lesson today. But now we're going to talk about the beer. This one is 5.8% in ABV. I did try this about 2 weeks ago, and honestly, not bad. As I've mentioned before, I do love me a good Irish-style red ale. We're going to pour this in. Oh, not as much head consistency when pouring in this one, but we're getting some more now. That looks beautiful. That head is very frothy. Thicker than the last one, and still got that nice copper red color to this. Let's take a sniff. Smells a little lighter. I'm not getting a lot of that malt. Maybe it's because of the fact my mouth might be a little overpowered from the last beer, and maybe my nose did too. I don't know. Let's do a drive-by real quick. Almost a caramel. Shaq, what did you do to me after all these years of beer reviews saying that word? Anyways, we're going to have a sip. Let's see what this tastes like. Oh yeah, stand corrected. Malty, biscuity, fairly sweet. I want to say there's almost a bit of a barley in this one because I am getting a little bit of a bite at the end. I am very happy to say that after I had tried it a couple weeks ago and coming back in retrospect, this, very pleasant. Coats the mouth too. Haha, I like that. I'm going to go ahead and say 4 3/4 out of 5 because this really embodies a lot of that red ale, especially the Irish style red ale, where it does have a lot of malt backbone and a nice sweet finish. I'm going to be kind of sad when this one's gone because this is my last can. But we still have one more to go, and as much as we go to the lights and the reds of the Irish style ales, it is now time to go to the dark side. Closing out this year's St. Patrick's Day special from Exile Brewing in Des Moines, Iowa, we have Heads Up Irish Extra Stout. This is 6.2% in ABV, and it just basically boasts roasty and pronounced. See a penny, pick it up all day long, you'll have good luck. I do love the artwork on this, with that penny of the quasi-Abraham Lincoln, or the Leprechaun Lincoln. In beer we trust. I guess that means all others must drink seltzers. I'm kidding, folks. I'm kidding. I've had my fair share of seltzers from time to time. Some of them aren't that bad, but some of them I live to regret drinking. That's why I stick with my beer and my stouts. And I've done quite a number of stouts on these reviews. And when it comes to Irish stouts, you can talk about your Guinness, you can talk about other ones, and they're pretty good. I want to see what a craft brewery does with the stout that's an Irish style. Looking at this already, the head consistency is very light in body. It dances a lot. On this side of the camera, it almost has carbonation, almost like a pop or a soda, depending on whatever state you live in. It's very chocolatey, roasty, almost a coffee roast on this one. And if you've been around the block on this channel for a while, you know I do like my roasty stouts, especially if they have a coffee blend to them. Also, my boy Hefe at Beer You, Beer Me would agree. Let's take a sip. Oh, Exile, Exile, the beers are pouring. For a stout at 6.2%, this goes down very quickly. As I mentioned, that kind of pop or soda aspect of the body, it goes down just as fast. And you can see the carbonation in the head just really dissipating, very much like a carbonated beverage that doesn't have alcohol in it. However, the flavor profile is roasty. It is pronounced. It definitely has a mixture of almost a chocolate and a coffee blended evenly and perfectly. This one, that burp says it all. 5 out of 5. And I say that very seriously because when it comes to stouts, I don't take my grades lightly at all, especially because of the fact I've had so many, and it's very hard to decipher whether or not something tastes really good for me or just middle of the road. This one, I wish it wasn't just around during this time of the year. I would have this lined up in my fridge all year if I could. But then again, my finances right now, that's another story. Well, we hope you enjoyed this review of the St. Patrick's Day special beers. If you've had these before and you agree with me, leave a thumbs up. If these aren't necessarily in your wheelhouse or you didn't have the best experience on them, put it in the comment section below. I'm really interested to see what you have to say about beers, especially the things that you may not agree with that I agree with, and that's okay. Because even though we may not agree on everything, there's one thing I know in life: we can all sit down and commiserate and enjoy each other's company over a tasty beer. Other than that, make sure you share on social media, but most importantly, hit that subscribe button. Also, make sure you check out my boy Hefe at Beer You Beer Me, as well as Beard Wizard Man for all their beer-related content. Until then, I'm Wildman Wess, and we will see you next time on What's Your Poison, or some of the other stuff we have here on Dragonfire Entertainment. Take care, and Sranja.